Time for some real shoes here. Much better. All right, guys, as you can tell, we're right here in front of the big redneck food plot, and it is time to plant. Now, we're going to do something a little bit different today, and I'm going to show you guys how to plant a pretty decent sized food plot, or how I'm going to plant it with some pretty old equipment in a pretty cheap way. So as you can tell, we got the old disc on back. That thing's probably literally older than I am. We've replaced some of the disc back in the day, probably, you know, 5-6 plus years ago, and so it does cut pretty decently. You can see the food plot right now is predominantly winter wheat over the whole thing. There are some weeds that are coming in down below. There are some white and red clovers that are kind of popping up here and there because we've had this planted in white and red clover before. But predominantly every single year we've come through and we've sprayed this and we've planted it in some type of food plot. So the weed base is actually pretty dang low in this food plot. There's a whole lot of different methods for planting a food plot out here, but bear with me. I'm going to show you guys the way I'm going to do it today, and it's going to be a little bit different, but I'm going to show you how it's going to work. So we got a good stand of winter wheat in here. Now, what I didn't want was the weeds competing with what I want to be planting. Not too concerned about the winter wheat because it's going to mature and it's going to die off. But the weeds down below is the main reason I came in here and sprayed. So I've sprayed this whole food plot. And what I'm going to do, because I don't have the big fancy RTP planter right now, and we're going to make do with what we've got, because when it's time to plant, it's time to plant. So we got the old disc here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through, I'm going to run this disc lightly. There's not a lot of weight on it. It's not going to work a lot of the soil. What I'm really trying to get at is good soil seed contact. If you take a look down here right now, you can tell if I came in and just broadcasted seed on top of this, a lot of it's going to hold up, and some of this duff on top of the grass, it's not going to get that soil seed contact that you need. So what I'm going to do is come in lightly with that disc. Now what that disc is going to do, it's just going to break up that top portion of soil just a little bit. I'm going to show you guys how much it's going to break it up. And it's also kind of going to lay a lot of this winter wheat over. Then I'm going to come through, I'm going to broadcast, I'm going to show you the mix that I've got from Killer Food Plots. I'm pretty excited about it. And I'm going to broadcast it over the top of it. And then I'm going to come back in with a roller. Now you're thinking, okay, with a roller, you're going to compact the soil pretty hard. Well, not really. We have really rocky soil here. It's pretty well structured. I wouldn't be rolling it with the heavier roller like I've got if I had nothing but like pure ag soil and it was going to compact it down to almost concrete. That's not going to be the case here. So it's actually going to do it some real good by coming in and rolling any of those rocks that I have pitched up. It's going to push back in. The seed that's laying up on top, it's going to push it down into the soil and get a really good soil seed bed going in here. But that's pretty much it. It's going to be interesting. It's not going to look real pretty, I can promise you that. By the time I'm done, you're going to be like, you threw seed and you planted it in that? How is that going to turn out? It's going to turn out pretty awesome. I'm going to take you through a couple other steps and some of the things that I'm kind of excited about, the reason why it's really going to work. But I've got to get on this tractor and I got to start doing some laps. Okay, so we've done a little test strip here. This is actually where I planted Killer Food Plots Border Patrol last year. And you can tell there's a lot of organic duff in here. I just kind of brush hogged it down. But what it's doing, let me show you right here. If you would have came in here beforehand, you can see over here, a lot of organic matter. Seed would have probably laid on top. And then when it's on top like that, it's exposed to the sun, it's exposed to rodents and birds and everything there. But if you come over here, you can see there's a lot of soil. It's broken up, it's kind of fluffed up enough to get a good seed bed in there and to get that good soil seed contact. Now when I come in and broadcast the seed over top of this and come in and roll it over, it's going to press all that seed down in there, lay some of this dirt over any of these rocks that have been kind of fluffed up. It's going to bed them back in there too, so it's not a problem down the road. So it looks like it's going to work. So got to get on there and do about 1,000,000 laps. Got a debris field of climatize. So there's a couple different reasons why I'm planting climatize in this food plot. Sure, of course, yes, I want to have deer in here during the summer, and I want them to be eating this high protein diet and hopefully putting on some weight and putting on some antler mass and just being overall a healthier deer. That's one thing. There's a lot of different reasons though, but there's two reasons why I'm mainly planting this. For one, it's a soil builder. So I will be terminating this crop come this fall. I'll be planting probably a carnage brassicas in this food plot. There's a lot of good stuff in here that's going to be building this food plot. If you look in it, we've got foraged soybean, you've got peas, you've got buckwheat, you've got radish, a lot going on there. You've got the radish that's going to have that more of a taproot. It's going to hopefully kind of aerate that soil a little bit. You've got the buckwheat, which is great. It grows really, really quick, creates a lot of mass. It's really attractive to turkeys and deer and quail and doves, especially the seeds. And then it builds a lot of organic mass that goes right back into the soil. Then you've got the highly attractive, high protein diet in the soybeans and the cowpeas. So it's just an awesome mix. Now, probably the main reason why I am planting this food plot is to acclimate the deer to knowing that there is food here, start getting them patterned on coming in here and getting them just accustomed to just knowing that there's food in here and coming in here and browsing and hanging out in the general vicinity. Because when it comes to this fall and I come in here and I terminate this crop and I come in and plant the carnage brassicas, they're going to be already right on top of it. So not only am I bringing in the deer this fall, and hopefully it will better my chances of killing something this fall, but now I've already got the deer here. They're already staging and kind of centralized around this food plot because I've got food, I've got shelter, I've got water all around this food plot, and I don't have to hope that they start patterning themselves come this fall. There is a lot of reasons why I'm planning this, and I'm pretty excited about it. So I've got the soil now worked, and I did a light disc through the whole thing, and it actually broke up a fair majority of the dirt. And I didn't have any weights or anything on that disc, and it's really light, and it did a really good job. So I'm going to go through, I'm going to spread this seed, I'm going to come back through with that roller, and I'm going to roll down on top of it. It's just a smooth roller. It's not like a crimper roller. It's just a roller that, once again, it's cheap. It's probably as old as I am. We've just had it and used it forever. So I'm really not throwing a whole lot of money into this food plot this time. I've got the Killer Food Plots seed that I have purchased, and then I got my tractor that I guess I'm paying on, and that's about it as far as money. I've used probably not even a tank of fuel to do this whole thing, and maybe a tank combined between like the tractor and the four-wheeler and the truck and everything. So it's pretty inexpensive. And then I did use the Roundup, so the Roundup on it probably was $40 for the concentrate, and I didn't even use half a bottle. So there we are. We are not out very much money on doing it in this fashion. So I have gone in areas too. I'm going to talk about on another video, planting the border patrol and really funneling the deer traffic through your food plot. And I have changed the design on this food plot. If you guys remember last year, every year I've changed it, and every year it's gotten better based on deer patterns and deer movement through the food plot. And some of these areas that I have gone through and disced it up a little bit more, I ran this area about 4 times with the disc, and I am going to be planting that as well. And like I said, probably on the next video I'll talk about planting that and the reasons why I did plant it where I did, and talk about just the deer movement through this food plot. So anyway, I'm gonna get started because I've got to throw a lot of this seed. This actually plants This Climatize actually plants 1/4 of an acre, and we're looking at probably about a 3.5 acre food plot here. I always like to plant a little heavy, especially when you are broadcasting like this, because like I've said it before, you're going to have birds, you're going to have rodents, you're going to have some that just get exposed to the elements and not be able to germinate. So you want to plant it on a little bit higher ratio than you normally would if you're like no-till drilling. So I'm going to plant this as heavy as I can, hopefully have enough seed, and I've got another little plot that I'm doing it in as well. So got to get going. Here you go. So now we're down to the final step here in the food plot, and that is rolling. We've got an old roller here. I have no idea how old this roller is. And like I said, it is a pretty heavy roller, which I would not be using if I had really nice soil that didn't have any structure from rocks or anything like that. Because if you've got a really soft soil, that's going to compact it so much that it might almost pack it too much where your seeds can't come up through the soil. But that's not the problem that we have here. We clearly have a ton of rocks in this area. Soil's pretty dry, so it's not going to pack down too much. What it is doing, it's going to press those rocks back down in there. It's going to press the seeds down in there. Some of this organic matter, if there are seeds sitting up on top, it's going to sift it down where it will get the soil seed contact. So pretty easy step, and it's just going to one more step to kind of help secure, to make sure I get good germination in this food plot. And you can see there's a lot of seeds up here on top, and I've already seen birds coming in and swooping in and taking off some of the seeds. So with rolling this, it's going to press it down, it's going to hide it a little bit more, and then we've got rain coming tomorrow, and hopefully it starts the germination process, and there's not going to be very many seeds left for them to eat. So once again, using something that I already have, got the old farm truck here of Dad's, and that's about it. Gotta get it rolling. All right, well, just like that, we are finished. And if you take a look, a high percentage of the wheat and any of the weeds that were in this food plot are laid over nice, just like I planned. The dirt clumps are broken up. There's good soil seed contact. Now this is going to do a lot of stuff. As you can tell, it's going to help with erosion. So any wind erosion, rain erosion, anything like that, with this organic matter and this stuff up on top, it's going to help with that. It's going to help retain the moisture in the soil. It's also going to help protect those seeds. Since we did broadcast these seeds are just underneath that surface. It's going to take more time for the rodents and for the birds and stuff to seek out those seeds. So hopefully in that time they will germinate and start growing, and then be left alone after that. So basically, this is what would basically happen before rolling it. There are some rocks that were pulled up. We disc the very top portion, like I mentioned, because it is a really light disc. And if you have a clump like this, to get better soil seed contact and improve your surface area of dirt and surface area of dirt contacting the seed, basically the roller would come through and then break this up, and then it would crumble, embedding that seed in it or around it enough that that would be covered at that point. It just really helps embed that seed in the soil and get good soil seed contact. So this does look really good. We're forecasted for another week of rain on and off through the entire week, so it should be absolutely perfect timing for planting. Got good temperatures, gonna have good moisture, get good soil seed contact, and that's what we need. And we got the nice bright sun out here today. So I'm gonna keep updating you guys with this food plot and with all the other food plots that we're doing and management techniques. If you guys want to see anything specifically, have any comments, want to talk about your techniques or what you've done, comment down below. This was pretty cheap to do, as far as I put money in the seed. I put about $20 in the Roundup. I used old farm equipment, old four-wheelers, old trucks, and then a newer tractor that I'm paying for. But overall, this was a pretty cheap way to do this. You can get out there, and there are crimpers and everything else that you can roll over this, and you can do a no-till drill and all that kind of stuff. It's very costly. It is very efficient, and it probably even saves you time on the long run. But if you don't have money, there are ways to do that exact same thing like we did here today. So 3.5 acre food plot, and I'm not out very much money to plant it, and it should be a highly attractable food plot for the deer. So anyway, if you guys enjoyed this video, comment down below, give a big thumbs up, and make sure to subscribe. And until next time, have a better than average day.